Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the North East Non-League Show, sponsored by DJ Private Hire, Gateway Accountancy Services Limited, Elite Goalkeeper Academy, Motive 8, and Danny Lay Heating and Plumbing Services. Tonight is our Gateshead season review, and joining us so far is Dan. Dan, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight.
My pleasure as always.
Excellent. Hopefully, Emilio will be joining us shortly as well. But I think there's one place to start, Dan. I'm over the moon, obviously, at the weekend, FA Trophy. What's your feelings?
Still trying to process it all, to be honest. Obviously, the game was on Saturday. It's now Thursday. It was just an absolute whirlwind. I just think just the way the game panned out as well. Obviously, just two sides that just match each other, stride for stride throughout the course of the match, throughout the course of the penalty shootout. 1 minute you thought we maybe had it in the bag, the next minute you're like, I can't believe this is happening again. Just absolutely crazy, really. But so thankful to get it over the line, and maybe in a way the fact it was so tense now was that's probably the best way to win a cup final. I mean, at the time, I would have obviously preferred it if it was 3-0 job done in 90 minutes, but it wasn't to be, and it's obviously not to worry now. We got it over the line, and it's just an unbelievable day. Celebrating with all my good friends in the stand, which was probably the best bit of it all, really. I was having quite a good day up to it. There was a good cracking the torch beforehand. It seemed like I don't know. I think this year, before the game as well, it felt like a more like a better atmosphere, like people more up for it. I mean, I don't know what that was, whether it was just because there weren't the same level of issues with the trains this year as there was last year. Maybe the fact it was on a Saturday this year, whereas obviously last year was on a Sunday, so people weren't obviously panicking too much about having to get back or whatever. So it was just an all-round better atmosphere inside Wembley, and I think that probably made for a much better game for the spectator as well.
Yeah, I mean, the game itself, like you say, going 1-0 through Booty, 1-1 Beck, and then, like you say, go behind the Beck second goal, 2-2, and take the penalties of the game and absolutely everything. But I know we're going to get it very shortly about the playoff situation, the council and stuff, but I think after that game, and we've seen a lot of videos so far this week, which have been absolutely fantastic. The Gateshead social media, putting the videos in and around the change rooms. And it was kind of, as he said, we all in this together as a group. And I think it kind of went out there and showed kind of Gateshead Council almost a middle finger. This is what we're about. And it was a fantastic way to go out, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It couldn't have worked out any better if we tried, really. I just felt that. But obviously my main worry before the game was Solihull's match fitness could have been ahead of ours. Obviously they'd been playing over the course of that 3 weeks, whereas we hadn't. But there was we didn't look sort of phased by the surroundings or the occasion or anything like that. We just looked like we just wanted to get out there and play our stuff. And obviously, fortunately for us, we were on the right end of it. But it's a total minimum what the players deserve for what they've given throughout the course of this season. Obviously, the playoff situation, it was an absolute farce. Like the fact that it took that long to get out. I mean, obviously, I'm not here to say this person's at fault, that person's at fault, whatever. It shouldn't have taken that long to come out. And that's the bottom line to it. But players have always been professional in everything they've done. Like that one would have hurt, but I think if anything, it sort of maybe gave us that extra push to go on and perform on the day. And I don't think we maybe needed it as such, but maybe there was just that bit of extra fire in our bellies. Just that extra willingness to maybe put blocks on the line whenever Solihull had chances. Maybe with the battle of wits or whatever in a penalty shootout. Maybe what happened did help us in a way with regards to the trophy final. But I just hope that this does get sorted as soon as possible. You know, people are going to have questions over the next few weeks. And I think what I've learned, like sort of following like Gateshead and non-league, is that if there's nothing coming out, then it often just means that something is in the works. You've just got to sort of buy time, just be patient, really, haven't you? So I've got faith in the people running the club to try and find a solution, but as we said, we'll just have to keep our eye out for any developments over the next few weeks. It'll be interesting to see if the Newcastle Thunder Rugby Club going back to the international stadium is going to have any bearing on that. But we'll ultimately we can just wait and see at this moment in time.
It'll be interesting. Even Krishna, thank you very much for watching. Just say, even lads, Wembley winners. What was your thoughts on the game? Hope you really enjoyed it as well. I mean, what's your thoughts on next season, which we're going to get onto very shortly as well? A couple of bits just from the weekend, Dan, that were kind of they were chatting about. Obviously, looking at Solihull and getting beat twice on penalty shootouts in about 2 and 2 weeks. It's going to be hard for them to come back. I mean, any level of football, penalty shootouts, but get beat twice at that place as well. It's some place to come back, isn't it, now for them?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them, but as I said in my video, and I've probably said a couple of times, I think they have got a good manager there. I really must say that. Obviously we played against his Banbury team while he was manager there in last season's FA Trophy run, and they gave us a good game that day. They played some good football, and obviously I think he's obviously still done a very good job at Solihull to get them to the FA Trophy finals, get them to the playoff final. And yes, it's going to be obviously tough for them. They'll obviously, when we play them next season, a lot of the fans or whatever will be thinking, "Oh God, not this lot again." But yeah, I think they'll be maybe there or thereabouts again in the league next season. I don't think they've sort of got anything to worry about that. But I get what you mean about the psychological side of it, but. Yeah, I think there's still a lot of quality in that squad, and I think maybe to a degree, like us last year when we lost at Wembley, it might give them the extra motivation to come back. But we'll wait and see. I mean, obviously at this point we don't know like who's going to be signing what players or whatever, so it's going to be a long summer ahead. Like opinions of who's going to finish where are going to change quite drastically throughout the course. So welcome back to silly season, really, isn't it?
And I want to get your thoughts on this one as well. I mean, I've seen a lot over the last few days on social media, even players putting their thoughts onto it. Obviously, you're playing all season in these compact little grounds and the atmosphere is buzzing and stuff like that. And a lot of people have taken to social media lately saying, obviously, the final, obviously, at St. James Park during the week, we had the final at Riverside, the non-league at Wembley, and the grounds are like pretty much almost empty. I mean, what's your thoughts on obviously playing at these? I mean, you look at the playoffs that you've been to the last couple of weeks, where the hostile and the players on top of you, and just that bit of electric atmosphere. I mean, what's your thoughts on then the finals then go to be playing at these bigger stadiums? Obviously, it's a great day out, but even some of the players are kind of questioning now: do we really want to be going to play there? Or do you want to go in a little stadium where it's going to be full and you feel the crowd on your back? I mean, what's your thoughts on there over the last couple of days?
I can sort of see both sides. So, I mean, obviously, in the last couple of weeks or so, I've been to Stockton's playoff semi-final, I've been to Heaton Stand's playoff final, Newcastle Blue Stars playoff final, but at the same token, obviously, been to Wembley with Gateshead, been to the North Riding Cup final at the Riverside, been to the Northumberland Senior Cup final at St James's. So, I mean, I guess the side of obviously the chance to maybe play at a stadium and on a pitch that you maybe won't get to otherwise, and obviously if you're a supporter of one of these clubs, that a chance to see your team in a stadium that you wouldn't sort of see them in otherwise. I mean, I get that side of it. I mean, obviously as a Gateshead fan, obviously I've been to places like Oxford City, Wealdstone, Dorking, like places like that this season. Just small, like maybe a typical non-league kinds of setups. So I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like I think this year, probably more than even the previous two. Really, I got into Wembley on Saturday, like baking hot day. Like knowing obviously we'd lost there twice, and I didn't want to see us lose there for a third time. I just got in, and I just sat down. I was just like, I've never known a wave of nerves like come over me like that. It was just absolutely ridiculous, really. But yeah, I mean, in terms of what maybe felt like more of an occasion, I'm not going to lie, I probably would have to give it to obviously the Heat and Stand game, the Newcastle Blue Star game, because like obviously you've got massive crowds into grounds that that really maybe can't aren't used to accommodating that many people, but I think it kind of made for it. I mean, especially at Heat and Stand, there was one or two issues about the Blue Star game last week. I'm obviously not really going to talk about that. And I'm not going to lie, I think there was maybe times, I think especially on Monday at the Riverside, where it maybe felt a bit like a pre-season friendly, or like when you get like the odds reserves game at the first team stadium, that kind of concept. But yeah, it is what it is. All the same, I have obviously enjoyed all of the games that I've been to. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't exactly enjoy the game bit of the Gateshead game. It was absolute torture, but I enjoyed what came at the end of it all. So yeah, obviously I can obviously go around and say that I've seen my team win at Wembley. So what's the issue there? Like Whitby fans can say they've seen a team win at Riverside. Blythe Town can say, they've obviously in the past maybe watched the teams put that team on public parks, and now they've obviously had the chance to play at St James's. And I imagine there was a lot of Newcastle fans in the Blythe Town team. So obviously I get it from that perspective, but I think it is a bit of a strange one. I think there is like valid arguments on both sides.
Yeah, 100%. And Chris just mentioned there he was there with his brother and his mate. 14th was the player of the match as well. What a way for Brown to sign off. I know there's been a lot of praise for Brown over the last few days for dropping down to play, like you say, for Gateshead and stuff like that, and hope that he's going to go far, and I hope he really does. Like you say, remember the name. Even Craig, even lads, you okay? Yeah, doing great. Superheat Army FA Trophy winners. I think on the Saturday itself, the Facebook group, there's a few pictures starting to come in, and we kind of said try and get as many as you can in. I know I was out for the day, came back, and it was fantastic just going for on the night time to see all the happy faces at the train station, get ready to go down outside of Wembley, sitting in the seat. It was fantastic to go through the pictures. I really enjoyed that in the group, so thank you so much everyone that put the pictures in as well. But getting back to the playoff now down in the council and stuff, and obviously going from finishing the playoffs expecting, right, this could be our chance now for getting the Football League. And it was looking at the situation of Hunstruck comes in on loan from Cambridge on the 19th, and obviously to play in the playoffs. And the news breaks on the 21st. So looking at that kind of thing, I think the club's kind of preparing themselves for the playoffs. They didn't quite expect it. Where do you think it's kind of gone wrong? Is it all blame on the council on this one?
I don't. I'm not sure if I can say for sure. I think there probably could have been a bit more transparency on it from all corners. I think from the league, like from the National League, from the EFL, from the council, possibly even from the club. Who knows? But I'm not. Again, I'm not here to point fingers or say this person was at fault, that person was at fault. But I think a huge lesson has to be learned here. Like for all, like not just like for the sake of if we're in this position again, if you get another club that's like us that maybe gets into this position one day, it's a mistake that simply can't afford to have been made twice. I mean, if you ask me, I think there should, like, I think for the purposes of like protecting sporting merit, sport and integrity, I think there should have been a rule where they said, right, if you win the playoffs, you can come up, but you've got a year or whatever to get things 100%. Sorted. I think that would have been a better solution. I think that way you're not like letting politics get in the way of like sporting, like what you've achieved on the field. And I know obviously a lot of the time there's a big argument about you should keep politics out of football and things like that. I mean, obviously I've travelled around a lot, and I know obviously like politics in football, it's maybe This was certainly a bigger thing in Scotland than what it is in England for a start. Yeah, I think it was just a massive like kick in the nuts for the players. It must have been obviously putting all that work. They'll had maybe a game plan in mind for what would have been a game against Solihull on the Tuesday night. Exactly. Obviously, the last regular league game, I played very well in the second half to obviously turn it around and get the win against Bromley. And I think we're all like feeling good going into it, and that we did have a chance. I mean, obviously, there's no guarantees that we would have won the playoffs because, for all we know, I could have gone down to Solihull and got beat, or beaten Solihull but then got beat off Barnet, or got all the way to the final and got beat. Who knows? Like, we'll never know now. But I think, it was hugely frustrating. I just hope that like lessons like just can be learned, and like we can go into next season with like a clear mind and a clear like mindset of what we want to achieve. Whether we want to have a good go at retaining the FA Trophy, whether we want to like really push on and see if we can get into the Football League, because I don't think this club's hit its ceiling at all. I really must say that. I think there is scope to potentially push on and get into the EFL one day. And I think if that could happen, I think what you would see from there is like obviously from there your media coverage goes up. Like naturally people will want to come to more games. So I reckon if we get to EFL, we could easily like I think the attendances would go up absolutely tenfold. I really must say that. And I think as well we could get crowds to a level that we could sustain. And I think you look at what likes of like Accrington Stanley and Morecambe and even Harrogate have done, like obviously not like huge football clubs, but they've got there, and they've got a formula that's like where like none of them have really looked like returning to non-league within that time.
Yeah, totally agree with that one, Craig. I mean, I think the thing to nail was after the win on Saturday, the council putting out a congratulation post on the Facebook page. You just want to say how we just take it down. I think it was just rubbing salt in the wounds, that one. But that kind of ties in nicely with what we're going to chat about next, is obviously next season as well. I mean, with players kind of looking at Gateshead now, and obviously things not sort of say, well, if it happens again next season, can they stay? Can they be in the playoffs? Can they not? If some players are kind of wanting to progress up the football pyramid, will they kind of look at Gateshead now and say, right, he's in that position to go? If not, we're going to go somewhere else. Do you think that could have an effect on the players coming in over the summer?
Possibly, but I think obviously the model of Gateshead, I think, could be something that maybe works in our favour as well. I think our track record of like progressive, of like getting players' careers back on track,
definitely
like developing young players that have maybe come in on loan. I think like that side of it could like be a huge help for us, and I certainly think like you look at Gateshead's budget compared with the rest of the National League, like it is compared with like your Oldhams, your as a possibly Rochdale, some massive clubs in there, ex-Football League clubs. Our budget is absolutely minuscule compared to theirs, and yet we've had this formula that's got us like firstly staying in the National League relatively comfortably in the end in our first season, then to push on into the top six. Obviously this season just gone, so there is obviously two sides where like people might think, what's the point if this isn't going to be sorted? But I'm sure like the club will have targets of who we want to bring in, and that those targets will have been set like before this season even finished, really. So so obviously those talks will be ongoing. Like I'm sure, I've no doubt that obviously Rob Elliott and hopefully will get some news in the next couple of weeks that he is going to be the permanent manager, because he absolutely deserves it. So hopefully that comes off, and I'm sure he probably knows a bit more than what Joe Public know. I'm sure like the players will know a bit more as well. So it's just a case of wait and see. But obviously, I'm sure. Obviously, this is something that's going to need answering because there's going to be a lot of questions about it. So I think like transparency is important at this time, but I also think it's a case of practicing patience as well.
Yeah, and crazy mention there. Watch us go up next season. We'd love to be able to see. I think it's to keep that lot of that group of players together. You can see that afterwards in the change room and stuff. It's going to be. I think next season will be superb. Craig's mentioned there, super Rob Elliott, and Chris said I heard Rob Elliott on Radio Newcastle earlier. Said he's confident the situation will be sorted, and like you say, hopefully get the plan sorted early going forward next season as well, which hopefully they will. I mean, just chatting about Rob Elliott. I mean, Noel Williamson did a great job, but to take over, to lose so many players, injuries and stuff, what a fantastic job he's done, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been absolutely tremendous. Really, I think obviously he had a tough start. I mean, the first game was decent enough. Like obviously came back from 2-0 down at Rochdale, and probably could and probably should have gone on to win that game in the end. Fylde was a bit of a funny one, lost 4-0 at home, but we had enough chances to win 2 or 3 games that day. It was just one of those where they had 4, maybe 5 chances, and it just always seems to be going in the back of the net for them. Whereas we could still be playing that game now, where 6 or 7 months down the line, and I still don't think would have scored. It was just one of those. And Yeovil was disappointing, but I think that was maybe the time when he just had but I think that was probably the best sort of learning curve for him. I think that game now is probably a bit of a blessing in disguise, really, because I think it was just perhaps a wake-up call that we needed at the time, and obviously from there we put up a good string of results, like the 6-0 against Dorking, the 2-0 against Barnet, obviously beating Solihull away, getting a point against Southend, which was obviously a decent enough result at the time. Then obviously going back to Rochdale and for our first game in the FA Trophy and putting 5 past them. I think that we really found our mojo once again from there. And I know obviously things went a bit haywire in the new year, losing the players and that, but we soon regrouped from that, and they're all replaced accordingly. So he's done amazingly, really, and I think as well I think with managers, you need someone that the players can relate to, and I think he does that. He just does come across as a genuine bloke. He's got, he knows. If he sees me, it's like, "Oh, you're all right, Dan," and stuff like that. So I think you need that kind of sort of character around the club. But I think he's also shown as well, that he's been very disciplined with it. So I could go on all night about what he's done right. I think there's obviously the similarities between him and Mike. There's differences between him and Mike, but I think obviously because him, Louis, Mags, they're doing it their way, if that makes sense. And yes, there is similarities. Yes, there is differences, but ultimately, it's got us a trophy, and it did get us a top 6 finish. I mean, and obviously we don't have the games in the playoffs to show for it, but we're still finished. We're still one of the 6 best non-league teams in the country, so we can't. You can't take that fact away.
Definitely, like Chris and Craig's mentioned there, obviously Mags and Louis' story as well. Fantastic what they've done in the background between them as well. Hats off to them, both them lads as well. And I was at the Newcastle game on Saturday, and obviously CC was up, Rob Elliott, probably a former team. I know he's looking for a club. I know he's always wanting to keep his boots going. You never know next season. CC up front, you never know. But looking at next season, Dan, I mean, you're looking very, very early at the moment, but what positions, kind of what you've seen over the last kind of 2 or 3 months, would you kind of go out there and look and say we need to strengthen here as soon as we can over the summer?
Well, obviously there's going to be 1 or 2 loan players departing. You're going to I think realistically we're probably going to have a bit of a job on to keep some of the sort of better players, because no doubt we're going to get football like clubs from the Football League or the SPFL or whatever, like maybe even like high budget National League clubs come knocking at our door, and you know, like who are we to stand in their way? I mean, they've given everything for us this season, so like regardless of what happens on that front with players staying, players going, like they'll always be held in high regard by Gateshead fans, every single one of them. So I think it's just a case of of just sort of waiting and seeing who stays, who goes. I think if there's one position that maybe stands out a little bit at the minute, probably like left wing back. I'd say left back, left wing back. It's like sometimes I go into games like, who do I have that's like an out and out recognised player in that position? I know Luke Cannon's covered it like quite a lot this season. He's done quite well with it. But I've always sort of thought of him as a bit more, you know, like of a forward thinking player. I know obviously maybe at times we've got players that are maybe more centre halves by trades, like filled in that position. But I think of all of them at the minute, that's like probably the one that probably sticks out the most in my head.
Yeah, and Craig's mentioned there, can't wait till next season. I know this period between now and I know it's only been a cut, well, since last week, since you last played, but it just feels some ages near before the next game now. It's horrible, this little period. Getting on a quick fire round, Dan. We're looking forward to this one tonight. 8 questions for yourself, quick fire from the last season. Number 1, what was your biggest high of the season?
Well, I don't think I need to answer that, do I?
100%. Number 2, biggest low of the season?
Probably that kick in the teeth when the statement came out that said we can't take part in the playoffs.
I mean, what was your feelings at the time? When I first seen it, and obviously I knew it was on social media, it was on official Gateshead, but I felt it was a bit of a prank. It wasn't real at that time. It didn't feel right to me. I don't know, what was your feelings at the first?
Yeah, I was just like, I just couldn't like fathom what had happened and why it had happened. Like I was just so disappointed for everyone at the club that deserved the chance for it. You know, just I was obviously planning on going down to Solihull on that Tuesday night. I mean, obviously, like even if we had gone in, I probably wouldn't have been able to in the end because that's the week I felt ill. So there was out of action for a couple of days, and it was just those couple of days was when that game would have been. But yeah, it was still, you know, a huge blow for everyone at the club. But ultimately now, hopefully this situation gets sorted and we can just, you know, start to put it behind us and just start to look forward now.
Yeah, hopefully. And number 3, the best match that you attended?
Well, apart from the blatantly obvious, I'm going to go for the 1-0 win we got at Southend in February. I think just the sheer grit and determination that to get that result over the line that day was just absolute. It was something to behold, really. You know, like Southend fans constantly in the referee's ear, just over the tiniest things. Like it was like it did feel like we were like really up against it, but to, you know, come out the ground with a result that day was so satisfying, I've got to say.
Excellent. And number 4 was the worst match that you attended?
I think the worst one will probably have to be that early kickoff just before Christmas against Halifax at home. It was the really terrible performance. It was just a really flat game of football. I felt really flat coming away from it, so they'll probably have to go with that one.
Yeah. And number 5, anyone that's watching as well, get your comment in for this one. I'd like to see your thoughts on it as well. Who was your best player of the season?
Ooh, I'm going to have to go off Callum Whelan. It was extremely close. I think over the course of the season, he's been so consistent. I think he's improved massively. I mean, he was already a good player as it was, but I think this season he's just taken it to a whole new level. He's chipped in with a few goals. He's just so like intelligent. He knows where to be. So yeah, I've got to go with Callum Whelan.
So, and number 6, who would be the biggest letdown, kind of the player that you expect a little bit more from?
I've got to be careful what I say here, Anna. Biggest letdown. It's really tough to say, actually. I'm not even sure I can answer it.
Hard one for this one. See, when Matty was on with the Darlow, he had a list of players. He was literally just going down one by one. He had that many to pick from, I think.
Yeah. Oh, you've got a stump to you. I'm not gonna lie.
Come back on later, movies.
Yeah, well, maybe don't all, but they've all contributed really well.
Yeah. Number 7, if you could go out now and sign one player that will come and sign at this level, who would be that one player to go out and get?
Well, if I can get the minute, I know it's probably not going to happen, but Joe Sabara from Solihull, I think he was a very decent player. I know he missed that absolute sitter on Saturday, but yeah, really like classy player, I've got to say.
Chris just mentioned definitely Whelan for Chris as well, and Craig can't wait to watch Jordan Hunt when he gets top next season as well. We had great reviews of Jordan as well I think it was last night or last week. But number 8, what would you rate your season out of 10?
9.5.
The highest we've had. Honestly, it's getting better and better every review that we did, and I was expecting it, to be honest. But no, fantastic season, wasn't it? But Dan, as always, absolute pleasure having you on us. I know we're back again next Thursday for our show. I know we've got lots to talk about: promotion winners, league title winners. It's going to be hard to get it all packed in within half an hour, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. So we've obviously both done our vlogs and whatever recently. There's a lot to talk about, and obviously I'm away abroad again this weekend, so hopefully I can give a couple of anecdotes from that as well.
Excellent. No, we're looking forward to that as always, Dan. But again, everyone that's been watching and commenting, we really appreciate the support. And obviously, we wish you the very best of luck for next season. Hopefully, things get sorted and hopefully that promotion to the Football League, fingers crossed as well. But like I say, back next week with a few shows, then one show the week after that, before a nice little month off, little breakaway as well. But again, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your night as well.
Cheers.